Hey guys, Lee Taft here. Welcome to Speed Tips from my garage in the classroom. This is episode number 67. I got a question for you. Are you teaching jumping wrong? That's what we're going to talk about today, because if we look at how we actually teach jumping in relation to sport participation and biomechanics of movement, we might not be addressing the right point. So let me address this. Okay. So now, if we look at each other straight on, okay, you're coaching me and I land and I come down and my knees buckle in, you're going to identify that as a fault. And you should, because of the range that I went in. That's dangerous, okay? But we also have a lot of coaches that will teach, we want to keep our knees out and we go to the outside. Well, the minute my knees start to track outside my hip line, but yet my feet are inside the hip line or under the hip line, now we've created that varum, which has actually supinated my foot, which has reduced support and stability and also reduced the ability to produce force on the jump. So if I landed like that and I'm out, I'm okay with that to a degree. But when I try to jump and produce force when my legs are out and I'm on the outside portion of my foot, I've actually lost the use of my first toe, my great, the first ray, the great toe, okay, the big toe. I want to be able to have that to push on, just like I would if I were pushing off and running. I don't want to be on the outside part of my foot. When I'm pushing around, I'm going to use that toe. So when we go and we load, if you look at my knees and I come down and they track in like they're barely moving in, you probably see just a little bit of motion there. I'm coming in because I'm trying to get into some pronation. It's like loading a spring. Okay, I'm trying to get into it, and then I want it to uncoil and I get to the ball of my foot, and then I go through my jump. Okay, that's number one. Now let's look at the side. When I go to land, I think one of the big issues, and I've been really on this topic for the last couple of years and trying to drive home a message here. I'm a huge fan of the posterior chain, just like everybody should be. You got to be strong, got to be stable, got to have that because it's important for acceleration and deceleration. But we're starting to forget we got these big quad muscles, and we think that we can just pass by them and kind of take them out of the picture. That's a huge mistake, and I think we're starting to see a lot of dysfunction because of that, and we're seeing back pain because of that. Because when we go posterior dominant, we get way tilted forward, much more stress here. My shins have been pulled back. Now I'm not loading mechanically correctly. I need my ankles to be involved. Okay, I need my knees to be supported by the hips going down and back, but the ankles also support the knees. Okay, you don't forget about that. Like this is not supporting my knees. All right, if I go back, you look at me there, I'm very unstable. I'm really loose because I have no dorsiflexion. If I get into dorsiflexion, now that movement gets limited. It becomes much more stable. All right. So we tend to teach jumping and landing where we go big hinge, way back. Well, I just lost a primary loading mechanics, which is that, okay, when I go way back like this, and then we jump, and then we land, and we go here. Well, I don't know too many sports where I get the opportunity to load like that, okay? Like if I'm a volleyball player at the net, I don't go like this, okay, and jump. I'm more here. Basketball player, fighting for a rebound, maybe boxing out, I'm upright, and then I go up. So one of the skills that I like to teach my athletes is how to jump more vertical. Be, quad, not necessarily quad dominant, but more quad involved. Okay, so we'll take the ball, we'll put it here, much like a front squat, and we just crunch down. So now I got nice loading in the ankles, my knees are involved, my hips are in good position, and then we jump and we push up. And then when we land, we do the same thing versus always being so posterior dominant. We got this thought that our quads are causing, like they're too strong, especially for our females, their ratios are off. Yeah, but that's sitting down and testing on a machine. In performance, I don't know about you, but I have a lot of female athletes that I work with. Their quads aren't strong enough because every time they step to the land, they stumble. And it's the quads that have to stop that knee from overflexing. So are we teaching jumping wrong? I think so. I think as a population, we're like this big pendulum, it swings to one side, and hey, we got to be posterior, let's protect our knees. Well, we just caused dysfunction of movement. We forgot that we need our ankles, we need our great toe, we have to coordinate the quads with the back side of my lower leg, okay? We have to have that range of motion so my quads can support, and this can give me range. I'm in a great position to be able to sit, jump, land, look at me this way, come in, you'll see my knees will come in a little bit. That's loading. I don't want to be stuck out here all the time. I have to come in a little bit, come down, and load. That's loading the body properly, okay? So I want you to try these. If your athletes lack ankle range of motion, don't say, well, they lack ankle range of motion, I'm just going to have to push their knees back more, like push their knees back. Well, that's just causing more problems. Help them get range of motion in their ankles. If it's absolutely limited and they can't get it, then you have to make adjustments for them. But you got to understand there's probably going to be dysfunction somewhere, pain somewhere. But you got to restore range of motion so that we functionally can get into chains and summation of movement that is appropriate for jumping and landing. It is not posterior chain dominant. It is the cumulative effect of both the front side and the back side working together and finishing off that great toe. Okay, remember that should be the longest toe. It's not always, sometimes the second one, but we don't want to be pushing off our little toe out here. Okay, we got to get that big toe involved, and that comes off the pronation into supination, and then we finish our jump. Okay, so give that a shot, guys. Hey, we'll be back tomorrow. So I think we're 68 tomorrow. Okay, thanks. Have a great one.